how does that happen? I am very curious. Like, I feel like for Shia, you have to go to some like remote location and do like a quest or something to get his attention. Like, how did you get him involved, and how did you kind of like
I met him
explore for
like
that?
I'm meeting you, man. It was just a Zoom call. He knows all about me, and I know all about him.
Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watcher Pass. Today I'm joined by Abel Ferrara, the director and co-writer of Padre Pio, which is coming to theaters on June 2nd, 2023. I'm going to talk to him right now, and while you're watching, if you can like and subscribe to this channel, that would be fantastic. It helps me out a lot. Thank you. So thanks so much for joining me. Today I'm talking to Abel Ferrara, the director and co-writer of Padre Pio, which comes to theaters on June 2nd, 2023. It features an amazing performance by Shia LaBeouf, and it is a story that's centered around conflict, both spiritual, political, and physical. I am excited to talk to you. I'm really interested to pick your mind on this film, so I can't wait to hear from you. And thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you, bro. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Of course. So the first question, I mean, like, what made you want to tell this story? This is based on historical events. It's based on fact, but what made you kind of want to bring this story to life?
I got this connection to Padre Pio. He's like, he's major saint in the Catholic, in the Catholic Church.
Mhm.
It's from South Italy. My family's from South Italy. My grandfather was born very close to where he was born, almost the same time. So I feel this kind of spiritual connection to him. His life is fascinating to say the least. And we did a documentary, and researched him. I knew that there was something I felt I wanted to make a film about the stigmata, the whole deal, and the miracle man, as they say.
Mhm.
We did the research. We discovered the moment of his stigmata was right at the time of this horrible massacre in San Giovanni Rotondo,
Mhm.
which is a little town like in like say the Achilles heel of Italy. It's
That's a
like on
great
a
way to
mountain.
describe it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. It's on like a
Yeah.
mountaintop overlooking the Mediterranean. It's but it was like the Wild West of Italy in 1919. And he
Mhm.
showed up. The soldiers are coming back. World War I was over. The Russian Revolution just happened. So you got to remember, the country was just taken over, and they just lined up the priests and you know shot them all. I mean, a major revolution was happening, and the politics of communism, Leninism, Trotskyism was now being resented here.
Mhm.
It was the first free election in Italy at the time. Italy was a young country, and it was just wow.
Yeah, a lot of conflict kind of brewing at the end of what should be a joyous event. That was kind of I loved how this film started, where you had all these people coming back from war, and you expect it to be like a happy moment, and it is, but then it seems like there is unrest right after. There is still, you know, there's disadvantage, there is a power imbalance, and so that kind of leads to additional conflict when everything should be peaceful. Everyone should be kind of happy and living their
Yeah, but
lives.
it's peaceful. These kids coming back. You got to remember, the scariest thing to any country is when you send the kids off to war and now they see the rest of the world.
Mhm.
You dig? Now they're
Yep.
educated outside of this little, town that they grew up in and doesn't and have no world vision. They have a world vision, and they also know how to kill people because you had to train them to do that. And they're also coming back with weapons. Okay, and now they're coming back with desires they didn't have when they left, and they're coming back to the same exact thing: poverty, disease, zero.
Mhm.
Okay, so you got a volatile situation right there.
Yeah, definitely. And you can definitely feel some of that kind of uh, fear and or trying to quell the fires that are happening in this film, which you depicted. Um, you are listed as a co-writer, so how did you split the writing? Did you kind of each take different parts of the story, or did you just work
Yeah, man. I
collaboratively?
mean, Braucci wrote. Him and I have worked together. He wrote Padre. He wrote Pasolini. He wrote the Pasolini script.
Mhm.
Okay, you know what I mean. So he's the writer. I'm writing as the director here. I've written films where I've been the sole writer, but here I'm working as the director. But I mean, I might get the credit because I'm pretty involved and the idea of it, but you know, Maurizio's Italian. He's from Napoli.
Hmm.
You know, he's a brilliant writer. He's you know, how we working together any possible way we can. You know, we worked on this script for 4 or 5 years. He's in the movie.
Oh, nice.
He's, you know, he's directing a movie. He's there with me. You know, he's there in the editing room. You know, he's like, you know,
Yeah, it's a very collaborative process, and it feels like you both worked
yeah,
well
of
together.
course. It's
So
collaborative from the beginning with
yeah,
everyone, with the editors, with the composers, with the producers. You know, it's like that's how we work, you know.
exactly. And so that's interesting. Like one of the things I was wondering is the film is set in Italy. It seems like mostly an Italian cast, but it's in English. Was the original script in Italian? Was it always meant to be told in English? I wasn't sure.
When Braucci writes, he writes in Italian. Then they
Mhm.
translate it for me in English. If I'm writing in English, it's going into Italian. We knew we were going to do the film in English because Shia is speaking English.
Mhm.
Okay, so when we found the Pio, if we found an Italian one, maybe we would have thought different. Plus, I don't speak Italian well enough to do it. Okay, so we got the kids who could speak English.
Mhm.
Okay, we're not going to be improvising. We're not going to be doing any kind of wild shit. We got to give them lines they could say, lines they could, you know, um, understand,
Yep.
that they could, you know, pull off. But they're pretty gifted kids, man. And I
Yeah.
don't mind the accents. I like the accents. I don't need to hear. I wasn't going to bring in American speaking people. Was I going to dub it in English? Because I like the musicality of what it is. The physicality of these kids that happen in Italy, they're Italians. Now, when you see the film in Italy, they dubbed it. They do their own dubbing.
Interesting.
So they got a chance to maybe say a lot of words that is not their mother tongue, but now they can do it in their own tongue.
Yeah.
So the Italian version of this film is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see if there's any, anything that's phrased differently, any sort of change. I know it always
So
is a little
it's a
different.
music, you know, it's
Yeah.
what Italian is compared to English. You know, it's
Yeah.
a different language, man. You know,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
events happen in Italian. Pio speaking in Italian. You know, so
And you mentioned that this film kind of like I seem to come together when you got Shia on board. How does that happen? I am very curious. Like I feel like for Shia, you have to go to some like remote location and do like a quest or something to get his attention. Like how did you get him involved, and how did you kind of like
I met him
work with
like
him?
I'm meeting you, man. It was just a Zoom call. You know, he knows all about me, and I know all about him. And you know, he had just had the conversion. You know, he's in
Hmm.
recovery with me. So am I. We have a lot in common. You know,
Hmm.
and but the connect was the material. You know, and you know, and he was up for it. You know,
Yeah,
and he immediately got on it. There was no movie till we made this movie happen.
yeah,
You know, this wasn't like there's this movie. It took 4 or 5 years just to get to the point of meeting Shia. And then he came on. There wasn't even a movie when he came on. I don't know what we had. You dig what I mean?
yeah. No,
But
that's
yeah,
an awesome amount of trust. Like that
yeah, you
you
know
were
what
able
I
to
mean. I mean,
connect.
him and
Yeah,
I, him and I talked about, you know, just about the spiritual deal here, and about, you know, we weren't talking money. We weren't talking about anything. We weren't even talking about when. And
hmm,
he just got in his truck and went to the monastery and just got ready, you know.
that's awesome.
And that's one of the reasons it happened. That energy, you know.
And it feels like this, some of the themes that he is depicting are things that I mean, I've tangentially read about Shia in various things, but it seems like, suffering, penance, like those seems to be things that he's very interested in. So it sounds like it was kind of a perfect mating of his character and
Yeah,
his kind of like interests.
yeah,
What
that's performances, yeah.
Yeah, what was he like to work with? I mean, I imagine since you both kind of like had similar wavelengths, was it very easy to work with? Was he kind of like what was he like on set?
He was all in, man. You know, he
Hmm.
was all in and we were all in and we were gonna, you know, we knew what we had in front of us, you know, what we had to do. And you know, we had a lot of support. And he had a lot of spiritual support, you know, when he was right there. He's in the place that Pio was. You dig? I mean, you know,
That's,
physical objects and physical places, you know, I mean, going to get you so far, but it gets you that far, you know.
yeah.
You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
power.
Yeah. There's a
And
certain
he's
amount of
feeling
energy
it.
that you get from just being there and kind of experiencing
Yeah,
it.
right. Okay, so you could train him there, and he, you know, and he came with the monks from L.A. I mean, they felt it too, man. You know, you could write about him, you could talk about him, but when you go to where the deal happened, and we were right where it happened, you know.
That is awesome. I was gonna ask. I assumed it was filmed in Italy because it seemed, like
It was filmed right where it
original.
happened, bro. It filmed in Gargano, you know, up in the mountains above, like I told you.
Yeah, that's
Above
amazing.
we were right there.
Was that easy to arrange, or was that another kind of difficult stepping game this movie made?
No, it's a good place to shoot. You know, they're open to films. They're open to me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They were totally open to making a film about Pio. You know,
Yeah,
there's no cynicism there, man. They're open arms. The Italian people are cool.
that's awesome. And I really like how this film kind of, a big moment in this is about kind of like election denial and pulling an election and people kind of like speaking out from a democratic
Right.
process. I'm glad that that is something that's in the past and that we don't have to worry about that ever again. I'm glad that that is all, years and years ago, right? Like it's kind of scary how that theme from a 1920s movie is still resonant today. It's kind of nuts
Yeah.
that that stuff is still around.
Yeah. I mean, you know, elections are great unless you lose. That's number one.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, it's like, what's so great about LA? You know, you see this, the soldier comes back, you know, the officer who's a landowner, and he's like, you know, I'm fighting for 2 years and I come back and now there's an election. Like, whose fucking idea is an election?
Yeah.
That's coming from the right. You dig?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Then on the
exactly.
left, it's the same way. You know, the kid is sitting there saying, when I tell him you got to get votes, he's saying, you think Trotsky's worried about votes? You dig?
Mhm.
You think fucking, you know, Fidel was worried about fucking votes? You know what I mean? You think Putin is worried about the election?
I'm just certain Putin is not worried about the
Yeah,
election.
no
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Neither was
Exactly.
Che. Neither was Che and Fidel. There were no elections. Okay. You dig? So the
Yeah.
concept of an election and the faith in election and the concept of the democratic process is not a given. You know, it's not something that always is and always will be like the sun coming up.
Mhm.
You know, it's a pact made between people. And once you start denying or not believing it, that pact is gone, you know.
Yeah. Sadly, a topic that is still relevant. It's kind of like I said, it's kind of crazy that it still is, but no, it definitely is something that
Well,
is
it's not
still in our
crazy because
system.
people are people and it's
Yeah.
always going to, you know, like I say, there's no, you know, it's not a, it's a process. A democratic process is, you know, and you got to believe in democracy. You know, you got to believe in each other and you got to believe in freedom and what freedom is. You
Yeah. Exactly. So I know
know?
we
You
have
got to be
limited.
ready to die for it, bro. That's the other part.
That's true. That's true. That just like well, I don't want to spoil the movie, but that is also relevant in this film as well.
Yeah.
Um, I know we have limited time. I'm going to switch to I call it the lightning round. They're just quick, lightweight questions about the film. I want to see how your personal experiences map to things in the film. You can feel free to pass on any of them. I will not be offended, but I try to keep them very answerable.
Okay. Yeah.
First question is: have you seen the Shia LaBeouf YouTube musical sensation? Have you seen the Shia LaBeouf video?
No.
Okay. It is one of the most amazing things on the internet, and I say that without any sort of sarcasm. It is
What
phenomenal.
music is it? What's it?
It's like a spoken word story that has like opera elements and dance elements. It starts off as like a joke, but then there's so much production in it that it becomes amazing. So
How old is it? When did he do it?
I think it's like 5 or 7 years ago. It's fairly old, but it is a
Check
sight
it
to
out.
behold. Yeah.
Check it out.
Next question is: are you Catholic?
I was raised Catholic.
All right. Did you ever want to be a priest?
No,
Are you wearing anything red right now?
no.
Okay. Uh, do you own land?
Do I own land? No. Unfortunately, unfortunately, I don't. But I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, well, it seems like that's how you get the power, right? So there
Yeah,
you
I
go.
know. I know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But no, right this moment, I don't get.
Have you ever been to an election demonstration?
Yeah, sure.
That's awesome. Yeah. Keep that's part of the democratic process as well. So given that you were raised Catholic, I think this will probably be a long time, but when was the last time that you took confession or you had confession?
50 years ago. No, when I got married. No. When I got married. So that was like 1981.
Okay. So a good amount of time. Now, thinking about the time since then, how many Hail Marys do you think you would need to say if you did a confession today?
One good one.
One very pious one would suffice.
One all in.
There we go.
Yeah,
And I bet Shia LaBeouf could do that. I mean, I feel like if he's played Padre Pio, he could probably take your confession. That would probably be very interesting. So,
he has. He already
so
has.
that's awesome. So the movie is out on June 2nd, 2023, this week. You're out promoting, getting the word out. But after people see Padre Pio and see kind of this retelling of that story, what can people look for next from you? I assume you have other projects that you're working on, other stories that you want to tell.
Yeah, we just did a documentary. We went to the Ukraine, doing a documentary with Patti Smith. So that's what we're doing. Or, we kind of do features and documentaries. So I was in Kiev, and then we're following Patti Smith around. So those are two things.
That sounds fascinating as well, and maybe that'll also then become a movie after, right? It seems like a documentary first to lay the groundwork, then maybe a dramatic movie after the fact.
That's how it's been going lately.
There we go. Well, that's awesome. So you can look forward to that later. But first, you can check out Padre Pio coming to theaters on June 2nd, 2023. This is Abel Ferrara, the co-writer and director. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
That was Abel Ferrara, the director and co-writer of Padre Pio, which is coming to theaters on June 2nd, 2023. It features an amazing performance by Shia LaBeouf, and it tells a story that's centered around conflict, both spiritual, political, and physical. If you like this interview, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.